Hey guys, welcome back and Happy New Year. Welcome to 2020. I'm so excited about this year, not just because it's 2020 and it sounds cool. It's also the beginning of a new decade, if you want to look at it that way. And it's that time of year where if you're like me, you're looking at trying to figure out what are the systems, the tools, the planning, the vision that you have to put in place to tackle all of your biggest goals, not only this year, but in the coming decade and beyond. Today, I'm going to go over my 2020 vision and planning system that I've put together that utilizes all of the best elements that I've ever wanted in a planning system, and to put it into one monster system that I'll be able to use all the time and that's super easy for me to follow. Now, if there's one thing that I've learned over the last 6 to 7 years of experimenting with different planning systems, different notebooks and journals, different binder systems, and try to get it to work seamlessly with the technology that I'm using, is that it's very hard to do. So the two things I really knew about myself and the system I wanted to put together is, number one, it had to have all of the elements I've ever wanted, or the things that worked for me in the past. Things like a vision board, vision statement, a one-year calendar planner that had certain views that I really liked looking at that were right for me. A place that I could journal. I've been doing it over the last year, and it's something I really got some momentum up and wanted to take forward. Also a place that I could track my daily habits and rituals, things like my morning ritual that I was implementing, things like an evening ritual, which I really wanted to get better at, and also have some fun and creative elements. Something that I started doing just recently, like drawing on my iPad. And number two, it had to be simple enough that I could carry with me most any place that I was going to go and be able to easily access all of these different parts. Now, this may seem like a tall order, but it's 2020. We have access to more tools and technology than we ever have before. Now, I did figure out that for me, it was going to have to be something digital. I was kind of on the go all the time. Sometimes I was a little scatterbrained about having these different things with me at all times. So having a digital solution was going to be ideal for me. So the solution I came up with actually incorporated all of those elements into one device that I could easily track and keep up to date with on a daily basis and utilize my Apple Pencil. I could type in it, and I could do a number of other things. Personally, I think the best way to create a planning system that you're going to use, that means you're going to make that habit habitual. In the previous quote, it said, habit isn't habit just because you say it is. Habit is what you do habitually. That means I was going to have to use something that I actually used every single day, and that I was going to be able to make those things that I wanted to accomplish a part of my everyday life. So everyone knows who Tony Robbins is. He has this great video that I first saw, I don't know, about 6, 7 years ago. It might be older than that, I'm not sure. I'll have a link in the description below. And that video is called New Year, New Life. Now, the first time he did it in January, and he wanted to talk about the word resolution and how you actually go about committing to getting your top goals and vision going without actually quitting after a month or two. So this is something he said you could implement at any time of year. Number one, have a compelling vision. Then have 2 strong enough reasons to back it up. Be able to look at and review at every day because it would help program your RAS. Now, your RAS being your reticular activation system, there's lots of videos about that, but it's really how you can program your subconscious to focus on things, because now that is the way you're directing yourself. Number 4, raise your standards. Now, the way he explained it a little bit in that is that it was a way of changing your identity. It was very hard to shift into the new patterns that you wanted to, or the habits or the goals that you were setting for yourself, if your standards, the way you looked at yourself, your identity, was still steeped in your old self or in negative self-talk or beliefs that weren't going to allow you to move forward. And lastly, having the habits and rituals to back it up. Now, those are things like your daily rituals, your weekly, your monthly, things that you're doing on a consistent basis that are geared towards the new goals that you have for yourself. Now, while that sounds simple, there's a lot of different elements that go into it. And I've watched this video year after year, at least the last 5 years. And little by little, I was trying to put in different components that were going to make it up. So those components, as I've mentioned before, ended up being, for me, things that I thought were important, like vision board, vision statements, having a clear, solid why, which is kind of like the reasons to backing up the vision I was setting myself. a calendar planner that was going to work for me, morning and evening rituals, having a journal, which was something that I had done over the last year and I really enjoyed. A way of being creative and drawing was something I wanted to add to my system. Now, those are the components that are making up my vision and planning system. Now, if you want to hop around to different areas of the video, you can link in the description below to the timestamps of these different areas. And I'll also eventually am going to put up my own planning system, some of the own PDF that you can use, and I'll be happy to share. The link will be in the description when I have that up and running. Now, vision board, I've always liked the idea of it, and I've always wanted to implement one ever since I saw the movie The Secret, where John Assaraf talks in it about how he had set up a vision board years and years ago that he discovered because he was moving some boxes and he had his old vision board on it and it spilled out on the floor as he was moving things around in his new house, that on that vision board was the exact house that he was moving into. Not kind of like it, not similar to it. It was the house that he had cut out from a picture he had found before in a magazine about dream houses, that he was moving into the exact house that he had put on the vision board. So a quick list for me of the things that I wanted on my vision board. I wanted to have a mix of goals that I wanted to achieve sometime in the future. I wanted to have some goals that were just out of my current time frame, so I put about 3 years. 5 years has always been hazy for me to think about in vision planning, but if it works for you, use it. For me, it was about 3 years, which meant about a year and a half, that time frame, and double that, I was going to be able to make that happen. And then I wanted things that I was actually planning to do or had already planned on doing in the next 12 months. So I could actually grip that and say, hey, I'm gonna knock that out and I can accomplish that and I can get that done. And the areas in my life that I wanted to reflect in my vision board were going to be things like health, wealth, and finances. Now, there's all kinds of different suggestions out there and videos about what elements or what parts and areas of your life to put into a vision board. If you can't think of all of the areas at one time, just start with the few. I've always had the problem in the past where I think I have to have everything at one time. Sometimes you just need to start with the few and then you can build as you go. For me, it was going to be things like travel, things like my business, my entrepreneur life, the businesses and hustles I was getting going for the year. It was going to be things like relationships, which included family, my significant other, as well as people in my tribe. So let me know in the comments below if you've done a vision board before and what elements you think are important. So the next part for me was vision statements. Now, why it's slightly different, but also very powerful like a vision board, is that it can be seen as a roadmap of where you want to go in areas of your life, and it clarifies it more. It makes you think and articulate about you, which we don't really do if you think about it all too often in a written or in a verbal format. Written vision statements can also help you clarify about the direction you're going and filter out some of the noise in your life. I don't remember who it was exactly, but I heard a very successful CEO actually had all of the vision statements for his life in different areas, even business and different departments in the business. And he would pull out his binder, and if there was a particular business opportunity or venture he was considering, he would refer to his statements about what was important in the direction he was going. And if that thing didn't fit into that area, then he didn't do it. Now think about how powerful that would be for you in an age when we're distracted all the time and we have all of these different things pulling us in different directions, that if you could actually go to kind of your owner manual of your vision statements and look at the things that are important in areas of your life, like your business, like your health, like your relationships or spirituality, any of these areas, you can have just a quick, concise statement. Maybe it's a paragraph, maybe like some people have, it's a whole 3 or 4 paragraphs. Whatever it is, if it's something that can guide you and you can articulate it verbally or in reading it, it's going to help filter out distractions and noise and kind of keep you on pace. Now, my why section, there's so much that can be done with your why. There's things that I've read in the past, like Simon Sinek, start with why. There's a lot of resources online that say, go to your why, go to your why. Now, for me, it was just going to be as simple as a couple of exercises that I've done recently. So I was watching a YouTube video by Dean Graziosi, and in it, he was talking about how he went through a method with 7 levels deep of why. Now, I don't remember the coach he was talking about that ran him through that originally, but he was being interviewed by Lewis Howes. I'll probably put that link in the description as well. And the method he said was that you could start off with something as simple as, I want to be successful in my business, or I want to have a 7-figure business, or you can talk about whatever major endeavor that you're putting out in front of you, and you simply ask the question, why is that important? And then when you answer that, you take that exact answer and you say, why is that important? Now, you're supposed to do this 7 times in a row, and you can do it several different times because I've heard from different people that it takes a few times to get down there and get out of your mind and to actually answer. And Dean said that the first few were all intellectually based, and by the time he got to the 3rd or 4th answer, it started being a little bit more heart-based. Now, his final why in that particular thing that he was talking about, I think it was a program he was launching or he wanted to be successful in, it was to have more control in his life. Now, I've gone through the same method, and it was very interesting to me that I came up with the same answer. Slightly differently stated, but in my business, I wanted to get down to having more control in my life because I had grown up in a way similar to Dean, a little poor. My parents had problems with money. They fought about that a lot. And so my entrepreneur life has been kind of defined with that, but I never spoke that into being. A lot of the different answers you get in the levels of your why can be used as part of your why. You should write them all down, get them to where they really feel good and heartfelt to you, and you can use that in your why section. Now, the calendar planning system. Now, for a lot of people, this is the meat and potatoes of your planner. For me, I've tried all kinds of different things. I'm really just bad at trying to actually keep to the commitments that I've made throughout the day, because sometimes as an entrepreneur, I get shiny object syndrome, or I'll really focus down on 2 or 3 things and spend way more time than I allotted to it and just blow through the rest of my schedule. And the other thing about planner systems that I've used in the past is they're kind of too defined for me. It seems like you find a planning system, you're like, okay, I like this monthly view, I like this area for the weekly, but I really don't like how they do this or that. And in the past, when we had everything in a written format or in a written planner, it was really hard to be able to change any of that out. On top of that, if I wanted to change some priorities for the week, I had to erase it. And if I wrote in a pen, it was this whole thing. So with that being said, I found a great solution for myself, and maybe it'll help you too. I am implementing everything in my iPad. So there's all kinds of videos now about how to use iPad planning systems or planners or using iPad for a number of different things. I found out about an app called GoodNotes, which you can install on several different types of devices, not just Apple, I'm assuming. I've looked into it a little bit. And also I've used Evernote for years. So Evernote, I have notes that I've taken down for things that are important. I've segmented areas of Evernote for business, for my personal thoughts. I've journaled in Evernote before too. And GoodNotes, what GoodNotes does for a planner system, for a calendar system, is it allows you to import a PDF and be able to write on that. So one of my favorite planner systems that I found over the last couple of years was the Passion Planner. Now, the Passion Planner has great bound paper planners that you can order and have delivered to you, and a lot of people are in love with those. They also have free downloads on their website, and I'll put a link in the description below, where you can actually go and download PDFs of a lot of different views and a lot of different elements of a planner, and you can import it into GoodNotes and use it. The awesome thing about that is then now I can use my iPad, my Apple Pencil, and I can actually time block in there. I can color coordinate it. I can also, which is really cool to do, I can actually import photos that I want into there that are reminders or just some little fun thing to put in there to let me know about something that's coming up. I can also draw in my planner and easily erase and move time blocks from one area to another if something changes, or if a different priority came up, or sometimes if I just get shiny object syndrome. Later on, I'll go into a little bit more in depth about how GoodNotes and the Passion Planner and that particular method is working for me. In the comments below, let me know about a planner system that you're using digitally that incorporates some of these elements. Now, my habits and rituals. Now, this is something that I've really put some effort into over the last several years of coming up with different ones that were going to work for me. Now, the thing with those is that I had to track them a little bit to stay on point, and I wanted them written down in a way that I could easily get up and refer to it in one location. Now, I'll give you a little bit of a glimpse into my current one that I put together, which includes a couple of items that are very important to me right now, including a nice meditation, which I'm working on, and actually something that I'm working on from Joe Dispenza for an identity shift. Now, this also relates back to what I was talking about in Tony Robbins and the 5 elements of lasting change, where he says, raise your standards, which is, in his words, was a way to change your identity to that new person. Now, I'm putting in here 5 a.m. is something I might test later on. I haven't quite committed to that because that seems like a very early time, but there's a whole trend about getting up at 5 a.m. and all of the amazing things that can happen. And I don't know anybody who gets up at 5 a.m. that doesn't just kick butt in what they're trying to accomplish. Now I'm getting up about 6:30, 6:45. I'm going to try perhaps 5 a.m. because I can actually fit more into my morning ritual. After that, I have things that I do, like I have water and some brain supplements that I'm taking to give me a little bit more of a boost there, as well as some longevity things that I'm looking into that I'll share at a different time as well. And then there's things like move. So that can be as simple as just doing a little bit of a walk or a stretch in the morning to get your body going and waking you up a little bit so that you're ready in an energetic state to look into your meditation and my identity shift that I'm doing. Also, after that, it's important that I started journaling so I can capture some of the ideas that are coming out of my meditation and or negative elements that are coming up because as I'm doing this shift, it's going to be a little bit difficult. And then after that, I do go ahead and plan my day. I have something that I've been following from Alex Sharfin called the waterfall method. And this is a way of setting a 1-year objective for your life, like a 1-year vision, and then going to only your first quarter and the first month in that, and then the first week in that, and kind of daily planning from there. In my evening rituals, if I'm going to be getting up at 5 o'clock, I'm going to have to get to bed earlier. So I'm looking at trying to get to bed about 9:15, and then I can journal, do some gratitude, just write quickly about some day's accomplishments or struggles, and then get to bed by 10 p.m. The second to the last thing is journaling. Now, this is something really cool, like a vision board that I'd never really implemented. And I don't know if it's because of, it's not viewed as cool, or I don't know what I thought when I was younger. But now that I've been journaling for the last year, it's something I really enjoy. I'm able to capture thoughts. I'm able to put down some things. It's really important that I actually have like a documented portion of some of my journey and some of the thoughts that I was going through in happy and sad times. I have everything dated, and I've probably journaled over the last year about 85% of the time. More than 80% of the time, less than 90% probably. And I love having that. I can go back and look at what thoughts are going on or great ideas that are bubbling up for me after I do my morning rituals that I can just write something down. I can go back and take a look at it. And being able to draw in my journal. Now, the last slide, I'll talk about drawing and how much that's helped. But I'm able to copy and paste into my journal cool things from the internet that I want to implement. And I can also keep track by drawing about certain ideas or activities or just trying to add a little bit of creative element to my journal as well. So lastly, finally, being able to talk about a really fun thing that I've incorporated in this just last few months of 2019 going into 2020 is the ability to draw. Now, I was at breakfast with a close friend of mine, and we're talking about business ideas and all the things that we want to get done over the next couple of years. And he pulls out this huge iPad and an Apple Pencil, and he starts taking notes, and I'm taking notes on my computer, so it's not a big thing. But then I noticed that he's like scribbling every once in a while and kind of intently doing it, but also listening to me. So I said, "Hey man, what are you doing?" And he shows me, it's a picture of like a rocket or something. And I'm like, "What's going on here? I thought we were having this meeting, we're talking about it, now you're just drawing pictures." He says, "No, I've actually read a book by Dan Rome called Draw to Win." But there's lots of articles and studies done on the benefits of drawing, like developing neural systems. It improves cognitive function, memory, increases creativity, problem solving, and also gives you just a healthy emotional balance. So now I'm implementing drawing into my journal, my note taking, my calendar planning, and I'm already noticing that I'm enjoying it a lot. I'll actually take some time and I'll figure out how to draw like a rocket or a bridge or any number of things just to test it. And I'm trying different colors now too, because it's not something that I've done in the past, but I'm loving it. And I highly recommend you add it to your system as well. If you like the video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe below. Also hit the notifications so that you can get informed about some of my upcoming videos that go more into depth into my vision and planning system, and also to hear about some of my awesome videos that I have coming up that I'm going to be doing to help you get a breakthrough in your business, in the marketing that you're doing, or your mindset that are going to help you level up. Appreciate you watching. Take care, and we'll see you next time.